But it may seem an unusual choice of themes as a way to approach big global problems like poverty and hunger and health and education. That's because design itself, it tends to be a word that really confuses people. When most people think about design, they think about fashion or cars or iPhones or great chairs like this. And for those people, we might be an odd pair to be launching this conversation. Indeed, to paraphrase our host, with all the world leaders here today, it takes some brass to ask a design dude to launch a conference on global problems.
There you go.
Tim, I'd like to turn to you to tell us why this isn't such a wacky idea to have a couple of design people kicking this off.
It may yet turn out to be a wacky idea, but we'll do our best. You know, I mean, design at its essence is really about being intentional. You know, if you think about it, there isn't a single thing in the man-made world that wasn't designed. Now, much of it was designed unintentionally. It was just it accidentally happened. The things that generally work well are the things where some thought has been given to how that would be, whether it's a system of governance, whether it's a product, a service, the way an organization works. Design is about being intentional about how you want the outcome to be. Now, it's tempting to think that means sitting back and pondering and thinking and speculating. But that's not what it's about. And I think part of the spirit, I hope, of this meeting will be about one of the kind of core principles of design, which is to dive right in and start doing stuff. And what I love about CGI and the commitments that it garners from so many organizations around the world is that idea is about getting on and doing stuff. And that's what design's about also.
Well, Tim, everything is designed, this cup, this chair, but not everything is designed for impact. And really the theme here is designing for impact. So how do you distinguish between stuff that's just cool and stuff that really makes a difference?
I would argue that actually everything is designed for impact. It partly is about how you want to define impact. I mean, from my view as a designer, great design is anything that serves the needs of the community you designed it for, right? So if I design this cup and it meets your needs when you take a drink of water really well, and it was a price that was affordable, and it's comfortable to use, and you don't spill the water down your front when you're drinking it, then I've created impact with that. And if millions of people decide that that's the right cup, I've created quite a lot of impact. And I've probably created some economic impact for the company that made them, too.
Well, you can certainly say iPhones have.
Well, certainly iPhones have. And you know, I think we're talking about the same basic idea here. If we don't deeply understand the communities that we're trying to serve, then we cannot design for impact. If we do deeply understand the communities we are trying to serve, and by understanding I mean really either tapping into the community itself to help us design the right outcome, or being deeply embedded enough in those communities to really understand their needs. If we do that, then those insights lead to ideas that ultimately lead to things, whether it be given products, systems, services, whatever it might be, that meet their needs. And we do that for enough people at enough scale.
You know, you bring up a problem that has been a criticism for well-meaning Western organizations who have tried to come up with solutions, often in developing countries. They go away, and then the solutions that they have aren't sustainable by the local population. Let's talk about how the design process can address a problem that could potentially help avoid those kinds of pitfalls. When you get a design brief, what do you do? What do you do first?
Well, you know, design always starts off with a question, right? How might we help these sort of people in this sort of way? You've got to make sure that question's the right question, not too large scale, not too small scale. But then the first thing we always do, and I think all good designers do, or whatever, whether they come from a design profession like me or from some other area, is just go out and really understand and really spend time in the field and get to and understand all the constraints, right? Because one of the constraints for any let's say it's a new product you're developing, has to be that it's sustainable in the market you're developing it for. That's as true if you're designing a new washing machine for North America as it is if you're designing a water pump for farmers in Rwanda. You know, it's got to be sustainable in the environment that you're putting that product. So you've got to understand everything about that environment. You've got to understand, can people repair the product? Are those materials available? Can you market the product when you've designed it? One of the biggest challenges with, if you like, great design in many of these markets is there aren't the marketing channels that we're used to. And it's very hard to connect to the people who can most benefit from those designs. Another place where large companies can help.
And then once you've done your ethnographic research and you come back and you have all this data, what do you do next?
Well, you don't actually come back. I mean, more and more today, we are jumping straight into prototyping ideas in the field. So, for instance, doing another water and health project recently where within 2 days of getting into Kenya, the team was prototyping new water services. They'd created a little brand and started a few kiosks to learn the kinds of products that were appealing to people. So they weren't even coming back with the insights. They were staying there and developing the first ideas. And I think that's more and more important, will be more important. And it doesn't matter what the problem is. It could be a new service. It could be some new infrastructural idea, whatever it might be. You know, and it leads to another important idea, which is for us to really be able to increase the level of impact we have through designing better, we're going to have to increase the design capacity of many other parts of the world. That it's not actually enough to bring it back to Western Europe or bring it back to North America. It's not enough to have great designers in the places in the world that we already have them. We have to increase the design capacity in many parts of the world. And, you know, there are organizations that are trying to do that. I know, Michael Murphy of Mass Architects, they're about to put a center into Rwanda to start being able to do architecture. I know they've worked really successfully with Paul Farmer, and to start to build design capacity in Rwanda. We have to see that, we have to focus on that. It's not enough just to have great designers in Silicon Valley or in London or wherever it might have been in the past.